2, and we are live.
Hello.
Hi, Will. Thank you so
Hello.
much.
Hi, girls. How you doing?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Thank you so much for being our very, very first guest.
So excited.
My pleasure.
Happy to have you.
My pleasure. Looking forward to being a guest. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. Right, I guess we wanted to kick off with you possibly introducing yourself, because we don't want to, say anything for you. I know you can say it so well yourself.
I can try to. So yeah, hi everyone. My name's Will Polston. I'm a business strategist and performance coach, and I have a mission in life, which is getting people to transform excuses into results and live a life that they love.
Amazing. And you're really good with that. I mean, we are living
Proof of it.
Yes. And for that, we are incredibly grateful.
And so I guess that's why we're here to talk about gratitude. And you were really one of the first people that came to our mind when it comes to this subject. And I know that Lisa has a very articulate way of saying this.
Well, I just remember starting to work with you. So for those of you who don't know, we used to work very closely with Will as our business coach, and he has helped us transform the business and get us to where we are today. And he also got me hooked on gratitude and the power of it all. And I remember your exercise, cultivating an attitude of gratitude. I don't know if you would be happy to share a little bit of that, because I think it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, thank you for the very kind words. It's always lovely to hear, especially from you two who are doing so many amazing things right now. I suppose cultivating an attitude of gratitude, one of the principles that I have learned over the years, and I'm kind of obsessed with learning, as you know, learning from everything from sort of more modern things like neuro-linguistic programming right through to sort of Stoic wisdom and a whole bunch of different stuff in between. And ultimately, I like to take complex things and make them very simple. And what I realized is that ultimately, if we want things to be different in life, we either need to think differently or act differently, and that's it. And there's a lot of things that happen in life that we can't go and change. It's the action piece that we can't go and change. So ultimately, then we have to change the way that we think about it. And that's really where cultivating an attitude of gratitude comes into play, because when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And that's what we're doing with gratitude. So we're getting people to see something from a different perspective. We're getting people to see something in a way they haven't seen before. And ultimately, gratitude is one of the transcendental feelings. And when we're not in gratitude, typically we're creating a judgment of some sort. Now, that can be a positive judgment where we think we're kind of infatuated with somebody, we're absolutely in love with them, or sort of we're overly in love with ourselves, and that becomes pride. Or then it can be the more negative judgments, which is when we are sort of shameful of ourselves or resentful of others. So that's really kind of what it comes down to. And the cultivating an attitude of gratitude is a process of coming back into balance. So the way I like to liken it is, you imagine balance scales, you know, the traditional balance scales that you put weights and on, and people use them for food and whatnot. If you could imagine you had a brick at one end of the scale and a grain of sand at the other end of the scale, obviously that brick is going to weigh a lot more than the grain of sand. But if we keep adding lots and lots and lots of grains of sand, eventually we get back into balance. And that's what we're doing with cultivating an attitude of gratitude. We're seeing things for how they are, not how we would like them to be.
And
so it's a series of questions basically that we go through to get people to see things from a different perspective.
Yeah, and I've done that personally, and it was transformational. It really was to think about coming at it from an angle that you haven't thought about before was really powerful. And I think it really helped me understand why gratitude is so powerful and can be so transformative. So I hope lots of people go and check that out, and take time to reflect on what else or how else they could perceive things. what does gratitude mean to you personally, and what is your connection with it? When did you first feel the power of it?
It's a great question. I think gratitude for me is about balance. It's about being at equilibrium and being able to see things at balance. Like I said earlier, seeing things for as they are, not as you would like them to be. Because so many times we see things from a perspective of how we think we want it to be, rather than how it is. And that's key. One of the really powerful ones for me actually was when I had my nose broken a few years back. So I'd kind of heard of the power of gratitude, but one of the ones that really sticks in my mind was when I had my nose broken. So I was playing ice hockey, and I think you girls know this story, but maybe you know you do, right? Okay, so yeah, I was playing ice hockey, and this is about 7 years ago now. And I was skating down the ice and I shot the puck. And as I shot the puck, one of the other players comes skating towards me with his stick out and basically two-handed me across the face. I went down, face down on the ice, lip stuck to the ice, knocked out, and there was a lot of blood. It wasn't very pretty. I kind of come up and sort of came round, and my teammates come over, and you could see them sort of pulling their faces, going, "Oh, that doesn't look very nice." And we sat down with the first aider, and he kind of looked at me and was like, "Yeah, I think your nose is broken." And I was like, "Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. You know, my nose is over here, the septum's over here, there's blood everywhere." Went to the hospital, and saw the triage nurse at A&E, and they went, "I think your nose is broken." I was like, "Yep, that's obvious. You know, it's right across my face." And that started that process. They said, "Right, you're going to have what's known as an MUA, manipulation and an anaesthetic, and then eventually you might have to have your nose rebuilt." So I remember sort of feeling sorry for myself the next day, but more so than anything else, I had this massive amount of rage and anger towards the person that did it, because it wasn't an accident, in my opinion, and it was kind of that was the case. So I wrote out 10 reasons why I was grateful, you know, and I was writing things like I was grateful for the fact that I could go to hospital. I was grateful for the fact that I only broke my nose and didn't break any of my jaw or my face, cheekbones, whatever. And I wrote 10 reasons I was grateful for. And I sort of thought back, I thought of the person that did it. But I was still filled with rage. You know, I still wanted to sort of go and get this guy. So then I wrote out another sort of 15 reasons, so 25 reasons why I was grateful for it happening. And I was still filled with rage. And then I ended up doing 50 things, and I was still filled with rage. I did 100 reasons why I was grateful, handwriting them out, and I was still filled with rage. And I did 150 reasons why I was grateful for this happening. I was really digging deep. I was grateful for the fact that it happened to me and not one of my younger teammates. I was grateful for the fact that it was the only time it had ever happened in all my years of playing hockey, and all these different things. And then I thought of the guy, I pictured him, I said his name, and nothing. I was just at absolute peace. So that was one of the things that kind of really impacted me. But it was actually a few years later, when it kind of went on a little bit longer, that one day I had a message on Facebook from this particular individual, and he said, "Will, I've been watching your videos and they've really inspired me." And he said they'd inspired him to the point where he decided to take action on actually taking over an ice hockey team and kind of running it. And he explained the situation. The current owner was going to leave and all the rest of it. And that's where it really dawned on me. If I hadn't have done that work to be at peace with it, every time I would have seen his name scroll up on social media or whatever, I would have felt rage. So I would have ended up blocking him or unfriending him or whatever. And potentially he would have never seen those videos, and he may never have had the courage to go on and do what he embarked on. Maybe he would have, I don't know, but it was just something in that moment that gave me the feeling of, actually, when we get grateful, not only does it benefit us, but it can benefit our friends, our family, our friends. Like, basically, there's a whole ripple effect that can come with it. So that's one of the really profound ones for me, for sure.
Yeah, and I think in there I had a question as well for you, and because you kind of hinted at it, and then how deep you had to go. You know, 150 things that you're grateful for. That's like extreme depth gratitude work. So are there levels to gratitude? Are there levels needed? Do some people come at it more easily than others? Does it, you know, your situation is extreme. You know, are there levels?
So the short answer is that it's like a spectrum, right? I perceived this guy to be like the bad guy, if you like, and it to be a bad situation. It was only when what I was looking to do was to bring it into balance. Now, if you keep going the other way, then I could make it a good thing, which I wasn't trying to do either, you know, because there's no such thing as good or bad. It's all a matter of perspective. It's like hot water and cold water, or a hot room and a cold room. You know, quite often I might be in the office and my assistant's in here and she'll be saying, "Oh my God, it's freezing in here." And I'll be saying, "No, it's boiling in here." Well, that's just a matter of perspective. The fact is the temperature is 21 degrees, you know, so it's a matter of perspective. So we're looking to get into balance. We're not trying to make something an overly good thing. We're just trying to be at peace with it. And that's why when we're working through the process, you'll know with certainty. That's the piece where I said, where I closed my eyes, I pictured him, and you'll know when you get into that true state. Quite often people will get a tear of gratitude. That's a signal that you kind of got to equilibrium. So that's the case. And as for layers and 150 things, now it sounds like a lot. And yeah, okay, 150 reasons why you're grateful when you can't think of one is a lot. But that's why normally there's a process that we go through, which I'd learned from one of my mentors, which is basically we identify your 4 highest values, means values, the things that you do that give you the most fulfillment. And we look for one benefit in one of those first of all. So by you finding one benefit in one of those, then we can go, well, what's the benefit of that? So that's what's known as the primary benefit. Then we find the secondary benefit, and then we find the tertiary benefit. So all of a sudden, we've by us finding one, we've actually found 3. You know, and that can go on, but normally sort of the primary, secondary, and tertiary. And each time you're going primary, secondary, and tertiary, normally the weight is a bit heavier. So where I use the balance scales, and you've got the brick and the grain of sand, the secondary benefit's more like a pebble or a small stone, and the tertiary is more like a small rock, you know. So they're not all equal grains of sand. They have different weightings in how they make a difference. So you do that in maybe find 10 in each of the top 4 values, times that by 3, primary, secondary, and tertiary. You're already at like 120 before you've even got going, you know. And then 10 40, you're at 40, yeah, 120 before you've even got that. And then you can start looking in the 7 areas of life as well. So you can look at how it's benefiting your family life, your social life, your spiritual life, your health and fitness, for example, your business, your finances, your relationship, and you're looking in the 7 areas of life as well. So there is a process that we go through to identify that, which can make 150 be achieved in quite a simple way.
And super relevant because it's linked to your values, which is something you will want to think about. And so that, thanks for sharing. That is obviously the practice and the exercise of cultivating an attitude for gratitude. You've shared it now, you've done it. Thank you. I think that's a super helpful exercise, and will hopefully inspire others to turn something they're currently perceiving as something negative into something neutral at last. One thing I wanted to ask as well, and I know you've shared it before, is when we're looking for something to be grateful for, say we get up in the morning and want to start practicing gratitude, where can I look for things I'm grateful for? I know there's maybe people, but what else is there?
It's a great one. And you know what? This is another one that is something that I've found with my clients and with individuals, is that most people get the concept of gratitude. You know, we've been being brought up to say thank you, say our please and thank yous, you know, but when you understand that gratitude is a sort of a state, it's not just something you say, it truly can create a shift in your being, then it does make a big difference. And I have my little black book, which is this one here, that most days I will write out 10 things that I'm grateful for. And what I found is that after, and this is what most people find, after they've done that for about a week, you know, it seems to be the same things. You know, it seems to be I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my work, I'm grateful to be able to have food in the fridge. You know, it becomes quite monotonous. So what I challenge people to do is find things that they're grateful for from the previous 24 hours in 5 areas. So it might be 2 in each. So who are the people that you're grateful for? What are the experiences that you're grateful for? What are the belongings you're grateful for? what are the expectations and what are the privileges. So people, again, it could be family, but it could be someone specific in the last 24 hours. You might be grateful for the person that let you go out the car park first, so you didn't get caught up in all the car park traffic or whatever it might be. Who's the person? So you literally go back to the beginning of your day and you run through those 24 hours, or from sort of the moment you woke up to the moment you went to bed, and go, right, who's a person that I can be grateful for? Then experiences. What great experiences would you have had? And I'll come on to maybe not necessarily so great experiences in a minute. Belongings. What belongings might you be grateful for? And quite often, what can happen is we have a desire to have certain belongings that we don't already have, right? And it's thinking about what are the things that we have got that if we didn't have them would be an inconvenience. So I'm grateful for my laptop, because if I didn't have this laptop today, work would have been a real inconvenience. So even the things that we're kind of taking for granted, expectations, this is a huge one. There's so many things that we just expect to happen on a daily basis that if they hadn't have happened, again, would have been a huge inconvenience. I'm assuming that both of you expected there to be hot water when you had a shower today or whatever, or you expected there to be running water when you went to brush your teeth. People that listen to this, they expected the fridge to have stayed on overnight and the food to be cold in the fridge this morning. There's so many things that wouldn't have happened. To remember your keys, we've all done it before. At some point, you go to go somewhere, you forgot your keys, you left your keys somewhere, whatever. So there's so many, and then privileges. There's so many privileges that we have that we take for granted. You've only got to look on the news right now, the amount of stuff that's going on in countries having earthquakes, countries still at war. That all these things that we just don't wake up and typically think about. That we can be grateful for. So that's key. But the real masters of gratitude are the ones that don't always focus on the good, and they can start incorporating the cultivating an attitude of gratitude process into their daily life. So what's the thing that happened yesterday that didn't go the way that you wanted it to, that was a bad thing, whatever that thing might have been? Go, why are we grateful for that? So you can be doing that, because the more you practice, like muscle, the more you practice using the muscle, then the better it's going to get, to the point where then you can create balance kind of in the moment. So there's a part of our brain called the corpus callosum, which in Latin means human tough. And it's the part that connects the left and right hand hemispheres of the brain. And the more that we're using this piece of the brain in the moment, so in the moment when we're finding ourselves having something that's not going the way that we want it to, and we can kind of balance it out without having to get a pen and paper out, then the more we can kind of maintain that state of gratitude. And look, everybody gets tests. I get tests. I have moments, there's two situations that happened even in this last week, but for me, they're the rarities. They're probably two occasions that have happened in a week. I couldn't tell you the last time that two things have really kind of given me an opportunity to bring myself into check for a long time. But years ago, that used to happen all the time. So it's really finding those moments when they don't go to plan, and sort of being grateful for that. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful.
So it's really, gratitude and practicing it is about finding your inner calm and peace, like with any situation, good, bad, it doesn't matter. It's just about, okay, I'm grateful for whatever comes my way, and there's lessons in everything, I guess, the good and the perceived bad.
I think so. I think so. It's maintaining that state of being in a resourceful state, and it's not about not having boundaries, and it's not about not sort of just taking it. It's about just knowing that at any given moment, there's only ever three things that we can control. People talk about the circle of influence and all these things, but ultimately the only things that we ever truly control are our perceptions, our actions, and our decisions. That's it. That's all that we actually have control over. And the gratitude piece is a big part of that. It's our perception. We can choose to see something that makes it empowering or disempowering. Now, I don't know about you guys and everybody that's watching this, but if I've got the option of having something that's empowering versus disempowering, I'll choose empowering every day, because when I feel empowered, I feel light, I feel energized, I feel like I can get stuff done. Where I'm disempowered, I feel sluggish, I feel low. and there's sort of a lack of enthusiasm, and it occupies space and time in our mind. You know, we've all had situations where they've not gone the way we wanted them to, and then it's all we can think about all day. So it's being asked to, it kind of brings us back to a center point, if you like, to be able to be at our best.
And it's that ripple effect that you mentioned earlier, isn't it? If you choose to feel empowered over disempowered, then you show up in the world differently. So people will perceive you differently, and it might make a change to their attitude and to their day. And again, that makes a difference to all the people they meet and their families and their colleagues. And again, I think that is the real power in it all. That it's not an individual thing. I think it radiates, doesn't it?
Well, it's interesting you use that term radiates, because I'm a shameless plug here. Later this year, my book's coming out, right? And in the chapter, An Attitude of Gratitude, I actually talk about a moment that that it was one of what I call my crazy ideas. You know, sometimes I have these crazy ideas, and one of my crazy ideas that I had once was, what if light is knowledge? Right, and you can read about it more in the book when it comes out. But one of the key things that we talk about is that when we're looking to get into a state of gratitude, we're looking to balance out the positive and the negative, and we get into that sort of state of gratitude. And it's the same when light's created. You know, you've got your protons and electrons, they come together, and then it creates light. We create light, and when we create light, we radiate out, and we have the ability to have an impact on other people. Every single one of us have experienced that person in our life that is constantly glowing. You know, think of the language that's being used. They're glowing, they are radiating, they've got a spring in their step. You know, they've got something about them. And the beautiful thing about light, let's take a candle for example, is that a candle's flame never diminishes with the more candles it lights. You know, so it's not like I don't want to light 4 candles because it means my one candle has less. It doesn't work like that. You know, the flame doesn't do it. We're just spreading that, and that's kind of how I see it, is that you can have a big impact by being the person you want to be. What's that? Sorry?
It doesn't get smaller if you share it, like love or
exactly.
joy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, or biscuits that you choose to give people on a Tuesday. You know, they get smaller when you mention them. They get small. Yeah, get smaller when you eat them. Yeah, that's it. But the thought, you know, that's the thing, that the famous quote. You know, people will forget what you said, but and I'm paraphrasing this, but people forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. You know, and that's the key part. You know, we've all experienced some time at some point when whether we were having a tough time or a great time, that someone did something for us that was over and beyond, that was just done unconditionally. And that's what true love is. You know, it's unconditional, that someone just did something because they wanted to do something, and they had no expectation of return. It was just something that was done. And the beauty of it is that when we do those things, they can be done from a place of like not wanting to be paid back. But because a lot of people say, if someone does something nice for you, often they'll go, right, well, how can I pay you back? You know, well, how about you don't pay it back, you pay it forward, and that way you can maintain that movement, that momentum, that ripple effect. So yeah,
and that's what I love about this whole topic as well. It's as you give gratitude, it makes the other person feel better. If it's toward a person, you know, it makes the other person feel better. They feel appreciated, they feel loved, they feel seen, they feel all of those things. But when you say it, it also makes you feel better. So it's everybody wins in that situation. And I also think in those situations you make yourself a little bit vulnerable so that other people can see you better. It's just such a beautiful thing where everybody wins. And when you show other people how gratitude makes them feel, they're more inclined to then pass it on as well.
Yeah, I would completely agree. You know, once you've experienced it and you've made someone feel that way, then they're going to want to carry it on, and also you're going to want to continue doing it. I've quite often said that there's no such thing as an altruistic act. You know, people think they're doing stuff for others by being altruistic. They're not. What they're doing is they're doing something that at the very least it benefits themselves. It makes them feel good. And I work with a lot of people in all different walks of life and multiple different countries, and I've not met anybody that doesn't want to feel good yet.
No.
So yeah, I think deep down we all want it, and if it's something that you can do, then great, you know. And there's a study from years ago, actually, to digress slightly. There was a study done. It was known as the positive psychology intervention, which I've used with a lot of people. And it was a study done over how it was scientifically proven that by doing basically 3 interventions a week for 3 weeks, it could have a substantial impact on basically your positive psychology. And that was on a Monday. You visualized the week, the following day. So you, on the Monday, you visualized the Tuesday of what you wanted to happen that would be positive. On the Wednesday, you thought of 5 things that you were grateful for, and on the Friday, you did a random act of kindness of some sort, whatever that was. And it was literally scientifically proven over the course of 3 weeks by people doing this, sort of journaling it, documenting how they felt, what they did over a 3-week period. It had a substantial impact. So yeah, powerful stuff.
Amazing. I'm conscious of the fact that we've got 3 minutes left.
Yeah, let's squeeze in the
very last question is, if you could show your gratitude to anybody, if you've met them, if you've not met them, in the whole world, who you feel grateful for whatever it is that they've given you in the last week, in the last 24 hours, in the last month, anywhere, if you wouldn't mind sharing who that might be.
So many people. So many people. I'm going to choose you two. Yeah, I'm going to choose you two because but genuinely, you know, first of all, I'm grateful because I've had the opportunity to work with you both, and seeing what you're doing, what you've done with the transition from Bloom Bakers to the Biscuitery to what you're doing, and the fact that the way you document your whole journey and what you do, it's inspiring. It's truly inspiring, and I'm grateful for you both because I've been able to play a small part in what's going to be an absolutely wonderful success story. I absolutely know it, and it's already a fantastic success story, but it's going to go on to incredible things. And I think you're a phenomenal inspiration for so many people because you are living it, and you're sharing the journey along the way, sort of the front of stage and the behind the scenes, which aren't always quite as glamorous as people might think that they are. And look, yeah, that's what it's about. You know, my mission is about getting people to live a life that they love, and I think you girls are definitely on that path, and you're helping a lot of other people do the same, even by these types of conversations that you're having with people. Yeah, so I'm grateful for you too.
Thank you. We're going to say we would love to send that person a biscuit on your behalf, so maybe tomorrow we do one.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, give one to, yeah, exactly. So maybe it's time. Well, they say it's you can't have your own cake and eat it. Well, you can have your own biscuit and eat it.
We're having it tomorrow.
Totally happen. But we'll make sure we send you one for joining today. And for everyone else watching this live or later on, tomorrow at 10 o'clock, the Gratitude Biscuits go live. You can grab yours and send it to someone who you feel grateful for. And we'll definitely send one to Will, because we're super grateful for you for this last half hour, but also, again, for everything you've done for us. And we would love you to share now how people can find more about your work and maybe connect with you.
Thank you. Yeah, I look, if people want to find out more, find me on the social medias, sort of Will Polston, willpolston.com. And yeah, thanks for having me.
No worries. Amazing. Enjoy the rest of your week, Will. Thank you so much.
Angie, thanks, girls. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.